Hello, yes, hi, and welcome to the Dark Knight Conspiracies, episode 91. March Madness, the Ides of March are upon us. So again, we see every day, we get the update, day 17 of the Russia invasion. Okay, folks, I'm going to say this again. This is not an invasion. These are strategical operations going on, in my opinion only, because I keep going back to this. If Russia wanted to take Ukraine out, they could do it in 48 hours, period. So with that, I digress and let's get into it. Let me just start off with Jen Psaki blaming Putin for the high gas prices, ignores other factors, and blaming Russia for inflation. You know, Russia. Marsha. I mean, I hate to say this, but I do talk to people out there in the real world, and there are just people that just aren't waking up. I don't know. I don't think they can. I don't think they will. I think these are classic denial cases where the truth is in front of them and they just don't want to recognize it. Whatever. But this is... I mean, this stuff's getting to be a joke. And I came up with the question because I keep seeing these articles. Peter Doocy keeps just blasting her with the truth. And she spins around it, and you could see she's irritated by it. And my question is, because we saw this kind of with other networks, alt media networks that were at these press conferences, and they never get called upon. So my question would be, why does she keep calling on this guy? It doesn't make sense when she knows she's going to get viciously attacked. So, I digress, and then I just, it brought me to this memory in my TV days, and I just want to play this.
Sake. That's sake, all right. Sweat sake.
Gentlemen.
So, yeah, that's sweat sake, all right. Well, I gotta start getting more humor into these shows. But anyway, and I know a lot of stuff's not funny, but yeah, you got to laugh. You can't be in total disarray, depressed. You gotta keep positive. Not that there's anything to be positive about, but there is one thing positive, and all glory to God. Jesus is coming back at some point. So I want to touch on this because I saw this one. This all started out, and this is a pet peeve of mine. Now, this was in Detroit, and they had a rally, and all these people, and look, again, I'll say it. I got nothing against the people of China, Russia, Ukraine. The people aren't the problem. The governments are. But this irritates me when you get, and I understand these people are from Ukraine and everything, but you know what? You're living here. And if you are U.S. citizens, you should be more concerned about what's going on in your own backyard versus 3,000 miles overseas. We got bigger problems here. And you need to start focusing on that. This stuff irritates me. You know, I'm all for humanity and supporting people, but at some point, start addressing the stuff going on in your own country. Because one of the things this whole thing is deterring from, you haven't, unless you're online and following it and listening to these alt media people, there are people out there that have no idea that a convoy even happened in this country. Think about that. This is how people are in their own little bubbles. And they turn on the boob tube, and that's where they get their news, and if they say it, it must be factual. These are the people that aren't going to wake up. I hate to say it. So what did we see this week? Now, I think this is fascinating, and I kind of talked about it in my previous episode. So Russia calls for a UN security meeting. They put out their accusations. They put out some evidence. Believe me, they didn't put out everything, and there's a reason why. Because how do you trap the other side? You give them enough rope to hang themselves. So what is the U.S. ambassador, this disgraceful thing of a U.S. ambassador to the UN? It's ridiculous. Oh, there's no bio lab. There's none of this and there's none of that. Well, here's what's interesting. A day before this happened, Undersecretary of State Victoria Nuland, another Obama official, under oath, testifying to Congress, admitted, yeah, Ukraine has biological research facilities and the United States is working to prevent Russians from taking control of them. Again, here's the spin. You got to listen to the words that they're talking about. When they say bioweapons, most people assimilate that to anthrax, that kind of stuff, mustard gas. You follow me? What these labs supposedly, it got nothing to do with any of that stuff. Oh, but they're preventing, they do research. And look, I understand there's biolabs. I understand that there's some out there that actually look into and try to prevent against such events. But I don't think that's what's going on here. And even the WHO, not the music group, the World Health Organization, said in an interview, it's strongly recommended to the Ministry of Health in Ukraine and other responsible bodies to destroy high-threat pathogens to prevent any political spills. You want to know what the translation is to that? Wuhan. What did we go through the last 2 years? I mean, you guys getting the picture? And optics are very important. And I said this. What happens when world leaders start exposing this stuff? Because we know the Orange Man couldn't. The optics would have been bad. Everything would have get, spinned. So, again, Taiwan's next. Do they have these same facilities? Evidence seems to point that way. Again, I can't vet it. I don't live there. I can't vet this stuff. All I can do is do research on the internet, hope that the people reporting on it are factual. But there is a government trail to where you can go to the government websites, which was posted out on Telegram, showing that these things existed and that they funded it. So, that's how you can vet this stuff. So Just watch, because Taiwan's coming next. Now, what happens when you get Russia and China? And, George Soros was out there calling for, we got to stop Putin and Xi. Folks, that's a red flag right away. These people are scared, which means we're on the right track. And look, I hate to say this. I'm not saying these are good people. I never have said that they're good humanitarian people. But this is a sad day when I actually choose to believe what Russia and China are saying over my own government. Because they lie constantly. All you gotta do is look at Psaki. All you gotta do is look at Sleepy Joe. Go Brandon. We're not getting any truth in this country. This is where we're at. Now, this came out today. New York Times journalist Brent Renaud shot and killed outside the outskirts of Kiev. Going to have to do some digging into this individual to see just exactly what type of articles he's been writing about. But if you read the report, basically it was a drive-by shooting. Really? They were filming people, refugees, going across the border, and somebody just opened fire on them? They're trying to get, I don't know how else to say this. NATO and the U.S. they're handcuffed right now. They can't go in there because they have an international law. They haven't been invited. This is between Ukraine and Russia, however you want to look at it. But you keep seeing excuses for a reason to go in there. In my opinion, this is one of them. Oh, you killed one of our journalists. Well, we're going to have to put troops in there. Keep an eye on this, because this is coming. This whole Ukraine thing is the hub. We know it's the site of the majority of the money laundering. We know, if you did your research and looked into everything, we know there's political people in our government that have financial ties to companies in that place. What they do to the physically disabled children in that country, the trafficking, they're evacuating all these kids and everything. Where are they going? Is anybody following this stuff? Where are these reporters following that stuff? That's, again, just my rant. Oh, and this happened yesterday. All of a sudden, Iraq gets hit with ballistic missiles. Supposedly, an Iranian separatist group is taking responsibility. Again, distraction. Or is there another operation going on? So, to tie it into the whole money laundering thing, because I do believe the U.S. is broke. I believe the European Union is broke. I believe NATO is broke. What do you do when you don't have no money? You pass a bill. How many more billions of our taxpayer dollars are we going to give to this country? Go do the research on how much money we've given Ukraine. Why? Where is it going? What's it being used for? Again, what do they need money for? They're in a war. I mean, they can't get airplanes out of Poland. That thing is all a fiasco. What do they need the money for? What are they going to do? Start building tanks? Oh, you could do that in a weekend, right? What's the money for? You get the money laundering stuff? And of course, if you get into this whole thing. What does Congress do in this bill? Lo and behold, they gave themselves raises. These people have got to go. I know everybody don't believe in this voting system and nothing's been fixed because, quite frankly, I don't think it's going to get fixed. Everything's been slow walked. This is all planned. But you got to get out there and vote, regardless of what you think. We got to have some kind of chance. So now we get this. Our Department of Homeland Security comes out. They got new rules on extremism now. Anyone who believes the election was stolen or challenged Fauci's narrative, well, you're an extremist now. Really? For asking questions? Challenging science? Okay, well, if everything Fauci said was true, let me see the peer-reviewed studies. Where are all these studies? Come on. Produce them. I'll go for it. Just produce it. Show us where he was right in everything he said. What backed it up? Again, trust the science. And I keep going back to a funny that I keep thinking about. Trust the science. Well, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And the Bible gives us the answer, but you can't have a chicken without an egg, and you can't have an egg without a chicken. One of them had to come first, right? How about the Lord created the chicken first to lay the egg? But science will have a different approach. Well, the egg evolved over, millions of years. The species lay an egg. Somehow a chicken egg got developed, and that's how we got chickens. I digress. But what I find interesting is, because, all this stuff with Russia, Ukraine, and the labs, and by the way, we have to thank Putin for one thing. He got rid of COVID, because you're not hearing anything about it anymore, other than, supposedly Democrat is starting back up. But where is he? This guy was a weekly staple, especially on the weekend shows. The guy's gone. Now, I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but look, I do believe people have been arrested. I do believe doubles are in place. I do believe that we're witnessing some kind of movie, but where I draw the line is innocent people are getting hurt. And that's where I have a problem with all that, because they're allowing it to happen. And I keep going back. I want to hear the explanation of why it had to go down this way. I understand the people needed to wake up. We can't let this happen again. So I mentioned the Ides of March, and basically what the Ides of March was basically, it was March 15th. It was the assassination of Julius Caesar from Brutus. And there always seems to be something that happens around this time. And you can do your own research. Look, I work for a living. I don't have time to put all this stuff out there for you. That's, again, and I don't expect you to believe me. I am not the guy you want to be believing in. That's why I tell you, you can take what I say, you can debunk it, you can go do your own research and put your comments in there. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not right all the time. I've been wrong a lot of times. But I saw this was interesting because you start to hear this, and again, the famine. They're fear-mongering. They're telling you what's coming, and it's coming because you're seeing it. Well, 30% of the wheat produced in this world and exported comes from Russia and Ukraine. Now, again, when you have a country historically an agricultural farm country like the United States, why are we getting wheat from other countries? Do you understand what they've been doing? And now fertilizer is going up. Well, you need fertilizer to plant your crops. So you see where they're going with this. Again, we should be a self-sustaining country, and yet we're not. We can't make our own microchips. We can't produce our own food because we're getting it from everywhere else. We can't produce our own products because we're getting it all from China. Do you guys understand why there's an issue in this country? We could be the #1 country in everything. We have the resources. But we have the criminal organizations running this country. And quite frankly, I think we got other countries involved doing that too. But I digress. So, why I'm bringing this up? Well, what does the Bible tell us? In Revelation 6:6, the voice announced that a quart of wheat was selling for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley cost a denarius. Symbolically, what this means, it'll cost you a day's wages to buy grain. Think about that. This is why I tell people, be prepared. We're in the downstretch, if you want to use racing terms. It's here. You've had plenty of time to get ready, get some extra food, silver, gold, and I know, I can't afford gold. Well, they do sell gold in grams. You can get a gram for like $200. Not that anybody middle class or other individuals have that type of money, but there's still things you can do. Beans, rice, water. These are inexpensive things back then, but again, they were telling us to get ready. They've been telling us this for a while. And that's just my advice. You don't have to take it. You flip me off, tell me I'm batshit crazy, I don't care. But I know when the stuff hits the fan, at least I like to think I'm going to have somewhat of a head start. Doesn't mean I'm not going to suffer or feel consequences. But I can't sit around and not do nothing. That's the problem with this country. We sit around and we do nothing. And lastly, this was back in, my Nostradamus days and the Antichrist days, because I was fascinated with these subjects. But I kept, this was an interesting 16th century painting. And it basically was a painting depicting the Antichrist and his bride. And I'm going to give you a minute to look at this. I'm going to point out some stuff, but I'm going to give a few seconds for you to just take in this picture, and I'll be interested in your comments. And as always, I appreciate everybody. Hit the thumbs up, thumbs down, like and subscribe. Pass it on to your friends. So here's the picture. Now notice the woman's pregnant. Notice she's got some kind of horn coming out of the left side of her head. And then you got the mirror and this wheel. I did research on this back in the day, and God, I'd have to look it up. But you got a dog. There's all kind of symbology in this. But are you catching the major thing with this painting, just take a look. I'll give a couple seconds, let you look at it, think what you want. Again, this was done in the 16th century. Any idea who that individual looks like? Kind of looks like the guy that's going in Ukraine, don't it? Not that I subscribe to it, because actually what I would subscribe to was the pregnancy. I could see whatever baby came out of there being the Antichrist, but I don't subscribe to Putin, because right now it seems like Putin's doing all the dirty work, and he's going to come out being one of the good guys in all of this, in my opinion. Just my opinion. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the, and believe me, there was so much news going on. You know, I'm so busy. I apologize. I am just so busy. I just can't. I don't like doing hour and a half long shows because people get bored. So I try and keep everything to 20 to 30 minutes. And I just focus on what I think is most important at the time. So again, stay strong, stay safe, stay vigilant, be prepared, keep your faith, give glory to God, because He is the driver. We are in the back of the bus, and He is doing the driving. So until next time. Same bad time, same bad channel. Zebra 3, take us home.